everybody and welcome back. So today we are doing something very different for the channel. Usually I focus on K-pop content, but I've recently decided that I want to kind of branch out a little bit. I'm not going to completely disregard the K-pop stuff, considering I still like it a lot, but I just want to branch out. So today it's going to be the introduction to that, and I will be doing like an anime manga roundup. That's what I'm going to call it. I will be covering things that I've watched or read in the past few months. I'll probably do it bi-monthly, like every other month. So full disclosure, I might not watch all of the newest things that get released, simply because I have never been a big fan of keeping up with the seasonal anime. If anything, I feel like keeping up with seasonal anime really burns me out from enjoying anime, so I usually only keep up with maybe 1 or 2 new releases, and everything else I watch is usually pretty old or rewatches. And for manga, I will be rereading a lot of things because I do have a collection of manga that I've had for like 10 plus years, so I kind of want to reread some of those things so I can consolidate my collection a little more. That is it for the introductions. Now we can get started. So the way that I will make these work is that I will talk about the series that I have completed in the past few months. I'll talk about series that I have started that are in progress for the few months, and then I will discuss manga at the end. That is the format for today's episode. So let's get started with the first series, which is Higurashi no naku koro ni sotsu. Listen, it was kind of a disaster, but like I kind of love it. I don't love it. I won't spend too much time discussing the synopsis for the show because I feel like mystery shows are better left without much being known before you get into it. But basically, the main guy, Keiichi, moves into the small town called Hinamizawa, and he meets his classmates, Rena, Mion, Satoko, and Rika. And through his friendship with them and just talking to the townspeople, he realizes that some really weird stuff goes down on the Wataganashi festival that happens in the summer, and basically the story surrounds the mysteries that happen in the town surrounding this festival. But basically the series did come out originally in 2006 with the base series, and then they came with a sequel called Kai. So the first series is like the questions arc, and then Kai is like the answers arc, and that is the whole series. Like, you can watch those 2 things and be done. But in 2020 they announced that they would be releasing a reboot. Turns out it was not a reboot by any means. It was a full-on sequel called Go. So Go was fun. I enjoyed Go. Like, it's very different from the original, but there were still a lot of interesting aspects to it that I really enjoyed, and you know, Go was a really fun ride. And then I don't remember, it was a pretty short turnaround from Go to Sotsu, because again, Go is like the questions, and then Sotsu is the answers. So it was a pretty short turnaround time, but I remember during that turnaround time, like, I would go on the subreddit for the show and read everyone's theories for what would happen, and like, it was just so much fun. Then Sotsu came, and Sotsu was just such a big disappointment from everything I had read, and also everything that was built up from Go. I feel like they did not tie any loose ends together. It was just really weirdly paced. I just don't think it was done the way that they expected it to be done, and I feel like that's really evident in the fact that the manga is currently drifting away from the anime's ending. So I will be probably reading the manga because I just need some sort of good ending for the series, because Go, like, say what you want about Go, but I feel like it was going on the right path, you know? So despite everything that I said, I still do think the original Higurashi and Higurashi Kai are very, very worth your time if you enjoy mystery things. I highly suggest. Do not even bother, even though I enjoyed Go, don't even bother with Sotsugyo because it's not worth it. The ending was not worth it. So the next series I want to discuss is Madoka. Yes, this is a series that I kind of picked up on a whim one day because I was on campus scrolling through Netflix, as a commuter does, you loiter waiting for your classes. And so I started watching it. I watched it originally when it originally came out in 2012, but I didn't really see the appeal of it. Like, I liked it, but I didn't understand why people like loved it to the extent that they did. And I even recently actually unhauled my Madoka manga. Like, I sold it all. Not to say that I regret that, but I do see the appeal now, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I am 10 years older than I was when I first watched it. I think a lot of people think that they're more mature than they are, or that like they understand the nuances to things, but they don't. I think that Madoka is a series that you need to watch when you have some level of maturity. Like, I was 12 when I first watched it, and now I'm 21, so like, you know, I've been through more things in life than 12-year-old me had, and I think that that widens my perspective on to why I think the show is really good. There are a lot of characters that I kind of didn't really understand the first time, like Mami. I think that Mami brings a lot more to the series than I originally thought. Like, she does get really short screen time, but I think that the pieces that she does get are extremely important to the storyline. But let's get into the overall synopsis for the story. Madoka, the title character, and her friend Sayaka discovered this like strange cat creature named Kyubey, and Kyubey tells them that he can grant any wish in the world in exchange for them to become magical girls. Becoming a magical girl has a lot of negative repercussions that they will discover later on in the story that people don't typically consider, but yes, that becomes a vital part of the story later on. A transfer student named Homura Akemi seems to have a strange obsession with Madoka, constantly advising Madoka to not make the contract with Kyubey, like, don't even talk to him. Mami also gets introduced as a sort of upperclassman who's also a magical girl, and she kind of brings Sayaka and Madoka onto her like witch hunts. The two younger characters end up looking up to Mami, and then another magical girl named Kyoko also becomes introduced later on, and that is like the 5 main characters of the series. It's a pretty short series, so there's not like too much I can give without giving spoilers, but yes. My favorite character of the story has actually really drastically changed since the first time I watched it 10 years ago, because originally I think my favorite character was Madoka, but I didn't have like a strong passion for a favorite character. Like, Madoka is just kind of, she's the main character, she's kind of like the most important one, so yeah, she's my favorite. But after watching it this time, I do have a very strong favorite character, and I would say that that is Kyoko. I think that her outlook on life and like the magical girl lifestyle may come off as like very grim, but I think that that is the exact mindset that you need to have to be a magical girl, and I find that really interesting to see. I think that her interaction with Sayaka really solidified Kyoko being my favorite character, and on the vast contrast of that, Sayaka, like, I don't think I hate her or dislike her, because I feel like if I were to dislike her, that would undermine the purpose of her character. But I do feel like very sad for her. Her life perspective and her outlook on the magical girl thing was already extremely flawed, which is why like Kyoko and Sayaka have such an interesting dynamic to me, because they both see it in such different ways. And you know, Kyoko tried to kind of correct that with offering her past experiences to Sayaka, and then Sayaka just kind of rejected every advance that was made by anyone else to help Sayaka, which makes sense because Sayaka's very independent, like, and especially after some of the interactions she had prior, I understand why she got really defensive, but you feel me. But above my perspectives on each character individually, I do really enjoy them together. Not to say I ship them, I just kind of like them friendship wise. I don't really know if there's anything romantic there. But yeah, and of course, as everyone else feels, I strongly dislike Kyubey. Like, people compare Kyubey to Monokuma from Danganronpa, and honestly, like, not comparable to me. Like, Monokuma got jokes. Monokuma's funny. I understand that Monokuma, like, you know, but he's funny. Kyubey's not funny. Kyubey is dry. Kyubey victim blames. Kyubey just doesn't even take the attempt to to comprehend the human experience in order to continue to manipulate people. Like, stupid cat, man, stupid cat. I do not like him. There was certain parts while I was watching it that I had to take a break because the cat's face really made me so angry. But yes, that is everything I have to say about Madoka. I did only watch the original base 12 episodes, and I know that they have movies and stuff like that. And I actually recently found out that they have a like anniversary movie coming out soon for their 10th anniversary, which is in 2022, which is next year, which is actually next in 2 months. So I'll probably watch the movies closer to when the anniversary movie comes out, so that I'll be like have it fresh in my mind. So stay tuned for my discussions on that, because I know that some of the movies are like recap, but there's also some new content in the movies. Next is another rewatch, which was Princess Tutu, and the series literally came out in 2000. The series is literally as old as I am. That is absolutely terrifying. But yes, I did decide to rewatch Princess Tutu, even though there are hundreds of other series that have came out in the past 21 years. But it was worth it. I do gotta say, it definitely beats the nostalgia goggles allegations. Like, way more than I was expecting it to. Like, basically, you guys, you know, y'all have your little Naruto's and little Dragon Ball Z's, but Princess Tutu is like my of that. I grew up with the show. It means a lot to me. I used to like doing dance as a kid, and then I stopped, and then I regretted it. So I feel like I project onto the series a lot because I really like the dancing elements. Even despite my like nostalgic connection to it, I still think that the series holds up extremely well despite the age of it. The general synopsis is that Ahiru, which means duck in English, this girl, she is a less than stellar student at a ballet academy. She has a crush on this boy named Muto, who's like actually a good ballet student, but he's dating another girl named Rue, and Rue's in the elite class. Ahiru soon comes to realize that she is Princess Tutu, given the task of returning the heart to Muto, which is the prince of a storybook called The Prince and the Raven. However, there are some stipulations to this, and you basically follow Princess Tutu on this mission. It has a villain of the week type of format, with the overarching story progressing alongside it, kind of like other battle shonen type beats. But the thing I do like about this episodic format versus a battle shonen is that each episode character gets like a very interesting story to explain why they have a fragment of Muto's heart. If you're skeptical of the series because of the childish title, I highly suggest watching this AMV that I will link in the description, because it has really epic scenes and it just looks cool. And like, this is the one AMV that I remember existing when I was a kid, and I just discovered that it's still on YouTube, and I think that's so iconic. My favorite characters are Ahiru and Fakir. I really like their dynamic together. You'll soon come to realize that I like dynamics of characters, sometimes more than the character individually. I think I like them for very different reasons. Like, I think Ahiru, I like her for a more personal, like subjective way, and I like Fakir in a more objective way. I know a lot of people like Fakir's character, but I think Ahiru's resolve is really admirable, and I just love her duality from when she's Princess Tutu and super elegant, like really good at dancing and just very beautiful, but Ahiru's like really clumsy and not good at dancing, and it's just like bubbly. And I think it's really interesting how you can still see the pureness of her in both forms. It's all one person. I just love her. But Fakir, I feel like you'll be really pleasantly surprised with his character development, because he kind of starts off as an asshole, but he turns into like this really meta, like badass kind of guy, and he's just cool, dog. He's so cool. What a guy. I do think that the show falls flat in some aspects, particularly with Muto's characterization. I feel like rather than being a good character, he's more of just a plot device, which is fine. It works, like it gets the job done. But I feel like I would care more about returning Muto's heart to him if he had more personality. And I know that his personality is hidden because of the fact that he has no heart, but I feel like even when he got his heart back, there was other parts of the plot that didn't allow me to see his real personality. But yeah, despite that, I kind of think that it would be interesting to see a reboot of Princess Tutu, kind of like Fruits Basket or like how Tokyo Mew Mew is getting one soon. I think that would be really interesting, and I think that if they were to be given like a longer air time, then we could see more of maybe Miyuto's characterization and things that you may think need to be fixed in the series. I feel like could be resolved with a longer runtime. Like especially Fruits Basket went from 26 episodes to like what, 60 episodes, and I think that really like fleshed out the story for non-manga readers. I think that Princess Tutu should get that. But also Princess Tutu doesn't have a manga. Well, it does, but like that's not like the original source material, so I don't actually know how that would work. So next series that we will be discussing is Nana. Nana really broke my heart. Like Nana hits way different than anything else you could possibly fathom. And it's a great example of another show where you cannot simply enjoy it without some level of maturity. Like, if you are the correct age, like, this show will hit so different. I have so many thoughts about this show that could be its own standalone video, but I know that that is not the type of content that will thrive in 2021. This show came out again way too long. 2002? Way too long ago. Almost 20 years ago. If you want to discuss it though, you should DM me on Instagram. I'm so down to discuss. Nana Komatsu is a very like boy crazy type of girl. She's always had boyfriends, you know, always chasing boys, and her boyfriend at the time moved from their very small hometown in Japan to Tokyo for art school. Komatsu decided that she wanted to save up enough money and then move out to Tokyo to be with her boyfriend. Like, she doesn't really have any dreams or aspirations in life. She just kind of is out there. She kind of lives for boys. But on the same train to Tokyo, she meets Nana Osaki. Osaki was a member of a rock band back in her respective hometown during her teenage years, and she was in love with the bassist of their band, then got an offer to be in a bigger, more popular band that was about to debut in Tokyo as their guitarist. So he actually moved away and left the original band, and Osaki always knew that she wanted to be a singer, so she decides to move to Tokyo to pursue her dream of being a vocalist in a group. So these two nanas, they meet on the train and kind of realize like, wow, we share the same name, we're the same age, we're both moving to Tokyo right now, like that's so cool, blah blah. They have a lot of things in common despite the sheer difference in them at face value. And once they finally reach Tokyo, they go to visit the same apartment and decide to just become roommates. And the story is about their trials and tribulations together, and it is a story of young adult growth and hardships. As I mentioned, they are the same age. They're 20 and I'm 21, so this was the great time in my life to be watching this series. So my favorite character of Nana is actually Shin. I think that he has a really interesting attitude, and I think he's so interesting. But in terms of the other characters, I do really love all of them, but I am a Takumi anti. I literally despise that man. And I also am a Hachi defender. Oh, Hachi is Komatsu. I honestly love all the characters except for Takumi. But back to Hachi, I feel like I can relate to Hachi a lot, like to a point where it really becomes unsettling. I'm obviously not gonna like unpack my very strong unhealthy obsession with male validation in this video right now, but I do think her character is a little bit misunderstood when it comes to certain things. Like, of course she does a lot of toxic things, and I'm not going to dismiss those things, but I think that the people complain about her more than is warranted. Like, one thing I really want to touch on is her spoiler, her pregnancy thing. Like, I feel like everyone that complains about her being really emotional about her pregnancy are people that cannot have children. you could fathom the idea of like having a living thing inside of you, you would understand why she did the things she did. This was also, you have to really consider the time period. Like back in those days, having a baby out of wedlock is not the most appealing thing. So when she realizes that she has a baby inside of her, her maternal instincts kick in and she wants to take care of it, but she realizes that she can't do it by herself, one, financially, and two, socially. So she's gonna marry the guy that knocked her up, and she definitely doesn't want to ruin the other guy's life. And that's why she chooses Takumi. Takumi can give her the housewife life that she always kind of wanted. And I think that because even if she like whines and cries about it, like that's not her whining and crying. Like she knows that she chose this for herself. That doesn't mean that she can't be upset about things, and that doesn't mean that she can't feel emotions when she's literally going to be a mother. People just like, having a baby is really emotional. I'm talking like I don't have kids, guys. I don't have kids. I've never been pregnant before. I've never had I don't even like having sex. But I just feel like it would be a very emotional thing. So I feel her. Like that really had me thinking, like, if I did. Anyways, I have only watched the anime and I'm so interested to read the manga now. Like sometimes when animes leave off, when things go on hiatus, like for Hunter x Hunter, for example, there's not that much content after the anime, like the 2011 anime ends. There's not that much manga content until it went on hiatus. For Nana, there's like a really good chunk of content to consume before it went on hiatus. So I will be reading the manga. Honestly, like, I really do think this will be a top 10 series for me. But I need to wait for the recency bias to kind of wear off before I make such a brash statement and decision. But yeah, Nana is really good if you are a person in your early 20s. You should consider it. I apologize for the abrupt change in scenery. It's actually like 3 weeks after I filmed the first clip, so we're gonna finish off the video. I also changed my idea for the video during that 3 weeks. So we're only gonna talk about anime, and the manga will be its own separate video because this one was getting too long as it is. So with that being said, we will get into the 2 anime that are like in progress for this month time period. So the first one that I want to discuss is Demon Slayer. When I wrote the script for this video, it was in progress, like watching, but I actually kind of decided to drop it, and I will get into that. But first, I will give you the synopsis. I'll keep it short because I know that like everyone in their mamas has seen Demon Slayer at this point. Tanjiro and his family live in this small town, and he goes out of town one day and comes back to his whole family being killed, except for his sister Nezuko, who has actually been turned into a demon because a demon is actually what killed his family, and after being brutally attacked by the demon, she also became a demon. But the thing about her is that she still has a small sense of humanity within her because she doesn't have the urge to kill humans like regular demons do, and she actually sleeps a lot in order to replenish her energy instead of eating humans. And so the story basically follows Tanjiro as he strives to become a demon slayer and also find the cure to his sister to turn her back into a human. I just haven't been really interested in it. I think that this is the series that I picked up after watching Madoka on campus. Like, I found it on Netflix and I was watching it. And at home I would watch Nana, and as you could tell, I really enjoyed Nana. So I think that Nana overshadowed Demon Slayer a little bit, and that's why I couldn't really get into it. Sometimes I get tired of trying to force myself to like things that everyone else likes, so I decided to just drop it after watching 6 episodes. I think that is a reasonable amount of episodes to watch and drop, so yeah. For future reference, like, one, I don't hate the show, I'm just not interested. There's always, I might go back in a couple years and realize that it was actually really good and I was just not in the right time for it. And also, for future reference, I probably won't discuss many anime that I dislike in this series. Like, if I find something that I truly cannot deal with, then I probably won't discuss it. But that's Demon Slayer. Don't be mad, guys. Next is a currently airing series. This is the only anime that I'm watching this season, and that is Komi-san Can't Communicate. I love it. It's so much fun. It's so quirky. Like, it follows Komi, who is a super pretty girl in the classes. Everyone thinks she's just so cool and mysterious and wants to be her friend and talk to her and all this stuff. She's actually really anxious and super shy and, you know, can't communicate. But the only person who realizes this is Tadano, and they end up communicating through chalk on a blackboard, and Komi confides in Tadano and tells him that she actually wants to make 100 friends. So basically it follows their story in Komi trying to make new friends and interacting with people, and it's just fun to watch her social awkward interactions. It's really fun to watch and just really wholesome, so I really recommend it if you haven't watched it. I feel like it's one of the more popular series for this season, and yeah, my favorite character is Najimi. I think that they're really funny. I like to see Najimi and Komi communicate because they're polar opposites of each other. Like, Najimi is friends with everyone because they, like, were childhood friends with everyone at the school for some reason, and I love that. But yeah, I don't have too much to say about this series since it is currently airing, and I probably will not read the manga. It just feels like something that I enjoy as an anime, but will probably not venture too far off of that to read the manga, you know? So yeah, that is the end of my anime wrap-up for this month's. I'm not entirely sure how my schedule will look with this. I want to do a manga wrap-up as well, and also manga hauls maybe implemented into the channel. So stay tuned for all those things. If you like any of the series that I discussed that I like, be sure to subscribe because we have the same taste in things and it'll be fun. Thank you for watching if you made it this far, because I know I talked a lot. The video is probably going to be extremely long, so